So good morning, world. Hello, Aussies. Hello, Aussie truck drivers and everybody else. For the record, my name is Matt. I'm a mechanic. I made a video the other day where I recommended that Australian truck drivers follow some little tips I had to make their trucks harder to be towed away. And I was thinking in my head, well, it's just a protest. Protests are allowed, right? They'll just call up the local wrecker, heavy haul wrecker, and move the trucks. So I suggested these guys, create air leaks on their trucks essentially to make it harder for wrecker drivers to tow the trucks. And I didn't even put any tags on YouTube or anything. I just posted it on Telegram and in an Australian channel because I feel like I should at least say something. And it got included in a hit piece by the UK Mail Online, just a screenshot and like an edited transcript of what I said. They left out the part where I said, "G'day, mates," at the end. But now I hear they're bringing in the heavy tank wreckers from the military. So people are like, oh, well, now they're going to be able to tow the trucks. Yeah, they sure are. You know what? And the bigger story here is now that your military is being brought in to quell a protest. So to me, as an American, the idea that you can't even have a protest against a government who, for over a year now, has put you under what I would see and what us from the outside would see as human rights violations and a quasi-military occupation. Their first inclination is we're going to use military against the people to silence a protest. And yes, I understand we have to protect the infrastructure, but I'll remind you, the same global leftist corporate Klaus Schwab New World Order pushing Great Reset news media all last year legitimized forms of protest that were far more violent, far more destructive, far more disruptive, including blocking roads and pulling people out of cars and beating the shit out of them. People were killed. People died because of protests in the United States that were to further leftist causes, and because they were for leftist causes and in support of this system, the news media clapped for it. Yay. It's a mostly peaceful building on fire behind us. So I saw this article that my little thing was included in that basically had someone commenting saying, equating truck drivers parking their trucks in the road as a form of protest to terrorism. So now you are a terrorist being met with military equipment because you do not want to be coerced into having a medical procedure done to you that may be harmful to you. And if it is harmful to you, no one is liable. If that is not a legitimate reason to park your truck in the road because you're being coerced into getting a medical procedure that clearly, if you worked through the whole pandemic without getting the jibby jab, it's silly now to demand that you now have it after everyone in the political class has been hiding in their homes and partying without masks on. And I guarantee you the politicians are not limited to one special friend, which if you're an American and don't know what that is, in Australia, you have to register. If you're single, you're not married, there's one person you can have sex with, and you have to register that person, and they have to live within a 5-kilometer radius, I believe is the case there. And you are not allowed to leave that 5-kilometer radius. And this is being done to make sure that you don't get sick. It is clearly no longer about the public's well-being in all countries. I no longer believe the official narrative about the underlying reason for the COVID regulations is our well-being. And in the United States now, apparently, if you doubt those motivations, that can be considered terrorism. Now, I don't know if they also are going to have a caveat where, you have to have that as your motivation for committing acts of terrorism, or if just thinking those things are that. If they are, then I don't know what you do. But if men in Australia are willing to go to jail and get the shit beaten out of them and be pepper sprayed and shot with rubber bullets to stand up for what I would consider their human right of bodily autonomy, if they're willing to do that, then you know what? Even though my wife is mad at me for bringing the Eye of Sauron onto me, I have to at least say something. I'm not in Australia. I can't go there anyway if I wanted to. I'd be locked up in a quarantine center. I live in Texas. We're relatively free here. It's coming here, though. That's the whole purpose of me speaking out. Not simply just because, oh, look at the poor Australians. It's, hey, world, wake the hell up. This is going to happen in every Western country. And the reason it's going to happen, for one, they have Australia as a testing ground. Australia is essentially a similar culture to the United States. The United States and Australia are unique in the world, and New Zealand maybe also as well, because they're mostly European cultures that developed from people coming over to a frontier scenario and then developing a culture where they have some semblance of freedom and freedom of movement. And the rest of the planet doesn't have that. Like you're in Europe, where the streets are this close together, they've lived like that for hundreds of years. The majority of the population that's in population centers doesn't know what it's like to be out on the land and be free and to do stuff. That's why the New World Order works even faster over there. But in Australia, there's a very special aspect that's different from the United States. And after the Tasmanian massacre, they took all your pew-pew sticks. I don't know if it hurts videos to say that. You know what they took. So I have one here, but I won't pull it out because that'll cause a shitstorm probably. I mean, I should be able to, but I don't really even feel free anymore. I have a gun here because it's okay here, but I still don't want to show it. But since they took those, y'all are their test bed for, okay, how much of the population will stand up without that in the equation? And then they can collect all their data of how they're going to oppress that culture, and then they can move over here and say, okay, now we have this new equation here, but we know that statistically this much of the population is going to stand up, so how do we focus all of our efforts against them and propagandize against them and demonize them? You already see it in Australia. Oh, well, the truck drivers are selfish. Motherfucker, they went out into the world when the TV every day was saying you're going to die a horrible slow death and there's no treatment for it. Went out in the world every day and did that just like we did. And now it's to the point where all the people demanding you get vaccinated to protect them have already had it. There should be not a single human being on the earth who is advocating for you to get vaccinated for their protection that hasn't already had the vaccine. If that scenario exists, then we're doing it backwards. So, let's see, where are we at? We're at 8 minutes. Hopefully people's attention span, maybe 2 or 3 people out of a few hundred will watch a whole 8 minutes of me in my truck bitching. And if you do, thank you so much. Man, look at this motherfucker coming up here. They've been doing construction on this road for fucking 2 years. I don't even see what they did. Anyway, thanks for watching. Comment if you would like. This video, I'm going to put some tags on it and do all that shit. I don't know really how to do that shit, but I bet you I could figure it out. If I can figure out how to diagnose a failed terminating resistor on a chassis harness, I bet you I can figure out how to put tags on a fucking YouTube video. So God bless you, Australia. God bless you, Earth, and all the humans out there. We will defeat the New World Order.